Crescendo juntos. BNI Brasil.
BNI, Wachstum durch Gemeinschaft.
Creciendo juntos.
เราเติบโตไปข้างหน้าด้วยกันประเทศไทย
Продължаваме заедно.
Growing forward together with BNI UK and Ireland.
Growing forward together.
Creștem împreună în BNI România.
Growing forward together. BNI South Africa.
Avanzando y creciendo juntos.
未来へ向け成長を共に
Samen groeien we verder.
Μαζί αναπτύσσουμε το μέλλον.
Growing forward. Together. Malta.
Growing forward together.
rastimo naprej skupaj, rastimo dalje zajedno. From Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia and Macedonia.
Vieni Italia, cresciamo insieme.
Growing forward together.
Sama-sama tayo sa pag-unlad.
Creciendo juntos hacia adelante.
Growing forward together.
En BNI Costa Rica, estamos creciendo juntos hacia adelante.
Just like the sign says behind me, BNI growing forward together. En grande ensemble. Merci, Kai Bjorn, BNI Canada.
Growing forward together.
Growing forward together.
Welcome, BNI members and leaders from BNI's 70 countries, and welcome guests from around the world. This is Graham Weimiller, Chairman and CEO of BNI. It is great to have you with us for today's presentation. And before we get started, I especially want to thank BNI's national directors who have co-sponsored this terrific event. We thank them for their leadership and for their support of BNI leaders and members throughout their 70 countries. And I also want to congratulate BNI members worldwide for having closed over 3.7 billion US dollars in closed business just since March 16th of this year. That is a tremendous amount of business and economic development, education, healthcare, retirement being funded. That is a tremendous accomplishment. So congratulations to you all on over 3.7 billion US dollars in closed business via 3 million referrals. Great job to BNI members worldwide. Well, today we have a treat. We have a chance to hear from Dr. Ivan Meisner, founder and chief visionary officer for BNI, on a really important topic that I think will rejuvenate and replenish all of us in this Growing Forward Together World Tour. And so I'd like to take a moment to formally introduce Dr. Meisner, a friend and mentor to so many of us. Dr. Meisner had a vision 35 years ago to change the way the world does business. He is the founder and chief visionary officer for BNI. He founded BNI 35 years ago, and it has become the largest and most successful networking organization in the world. He has supported millions of businesses in 70 countries. He's helped businesses grow through some of the most challenging economic times. And he's been called the father of modern networking by CNN and one of the top networking experts by Forbes. Dr. Meisner is considered to be one of the world's leading experts on business networking. He's a New York Times best-selling author who has written 24 books. He regularly speaks and appears on numerous TV and radio shows, including CNN, the BBC, and the Today Show on NBC. It is with great pleasure that I present to you our founder and today's keynote speaker, Dr. Ivan Meisner. Dr. Meisner, please.
Thank you so much, Graham. I really appreciate it. Hey, I'm just glad they're not calling me the grandfather of modern networking. So I'm happy about that. First, let me thank you, Graham, for everything that you've done over the last 3 or 4 months. BNI has really stepped up and made a pivot very quickly because of the COVID virus. And that is absolutely because of your leadership. You saw this coming before I did. And I want to thank you for what you've done, because I honestly think you've saved this company and you've helped hundreds of thousands of business people stay in business during the COVID great pause because of your foresight in seeing this coming. So I want to thank you. I also want to thank Terry Atkins and the marketing team for putting this on. What a great event this is all week, the World Tour. Absolutely love it, and I really appreciate you. So today I'm going to be talking about refusing to participate in a recession. I refuse to participate in a recession, and I'll explain that a little bit more as I go here. First of all, let me say, we're all in this together. We're all in this situation that we're in together. We have a double whammy because we have COVID-19 and then we have a recession that is taking place globally. Now, while we've been impacted by COVID, we don't all have to be impacted by the recession. The question is, how are we going to respond? And I'm here to tell you, I've never experienced something like the quarantine, the great pause, but we've dealt with recessions. We've dealt with several, and I'm going to talk about them here tonight. And we can tell businesses how to succeed through recessionary times. And so here are a few things to consider. First of all, I think it's really important to microdose your news right now. Microdose the news. Just get as much news as you need to know to get through your day, to know what's going on in the world, but limit your news intake because it's very, very negative right now with the recession and the COVID virus and all the other craziness that may be taking place around the world. I recommend once a day, no more than twice. I have the news on my mobile app and I'll read it in the morning. I'll read it in the evening just to make sure I know what's going on. But if you obsess over all the problems that are going on right now, you're going to be so focused on the problems that you're not going to get to the solutions that are out there. I know somebody who is watching the news 8 hours a day, and they are absolutely convinced that the sky is falling. The world is coming to an end. They know that business will never be the same because they are so obsessed with focusing on all the negativity that exists that they're not paying attention to what opportunities may exist. The key here is that you've got to do something. Don't do nothing. Do something. Focus on solutions. This is the time to think about innovation. Look for solutions that exist out there. Look for ways to innovate look for ways to stay connected with people. If all you do is focus on the problems, you will be an expert at the problems. What you have to do, if you want to get through these tough times, is look for solutions. I've been around the block a bit. I've earned this gray hair. I'm here to tell you that if you just obsess over the problems, that you will absolutely struggle during this time. But if you look for opportunities that are out there, you're going to do well. The last thing you want to do is to create a pity party for yourself. A pity party is not going to help you. I know I've thrown them for myself. And when they're over, I'm in the same situation, but I just feel worse. It's about doing something right now. What I have found over the last 35 years in BNI is that people tend to either be focused on fear, they're either frozen by fear, or they're focused by fear. That is, when difficult times take place, they get very focused on what they need to do and how they need to do it. And that's what I say you need to do, is don't be frozen by fear, be focused by fear. Focus your attention on what opportunities there are right now as we move out of, hopefully, the COVID virus great pause over time and move into this recession that we are experiencing. We need to be focused. Let me tell you a story. I've been through multiple recessions during BNI. This is the fourth recession, actually, in my experience with BNI. And in 1990, the first recession that I went through, I went to a business mixer like this. It was at a Chamber of Commerce event. And I went to this business mixer, and the economy just nosedived, particularly real estate. Real estate just took a big drop. And I went to this chamber function, and the only topic of discussion at the function was how bad business was. I mean, everyone was talking about how bad business was. And so I was kind of depressed. This is the first recession I went through. So I didn't know how BNI would do. How would entrepreneurs do? I was a little nervous, and I was walking around and seeing all these people who were just obsessed with how bad the economy was. And I saw some guy in the corner, and I went over and I introduced myself to him. I said hi, and I made the mistake of saying, "Nice to meet you. How's business?" And then as soon as I said it, I thought, oh, why did I ask that question? Because now he's going to go on this rant like everybody else in the room and tell me how bad business is. But he didn't. He said, "Business is great." I said, "Wow, business is great. What business are you in?" He said, "I'm in real estate." I said, "You're in real estate and business is good?" He said, "Yeah, business is good. As a matter of fact, this is my best year ever." I said, "Wait, this is your best year ever in real estate?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Is this your first year in real estate?" He said, No, I've been in real estate for almost a decade." I said, "Well, how could that be? How could it be that this is your best year ever in real estate in the middle of this recession?" And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, I don't have it on." And he reached into his coat pocket and he pulled out a button. And he held the button up, and the button said, "I refuse to participate in a recession." And I looked at him and I said, "That's it? You have a button. And so you're having a great year because of this button." He said, No, that's not all of it. He said, "The button just represents the mindset. You have to have the right mindset. You have to have the mindset that you're not going to play along with everybody else. Everybody else is going to buy into this. You're not going to. You're going to refuse to participate. That's the mindset. And then you have to find ways to build your business during a difficult economy." I said, "All right, that makes sense, but take me to school here." I asked him, I said, "Take me to school. Tell me, how do you do that in real estate? Because the real estate market has bottomed out. What are you doing?" He said, "I'm doing two things that are creating my best year ever in real estate." He said, "First, I'm going to real estate investors, investors who buy property to rent or lease. And I'm going to them and I'm saying to them, look, I want to show you some property. I've got a duplex to show you. You got to take a look at this. But no matter what, 2 years from now, you cannot call me and say, oh man, I wish I would have taken a look at that duplex that you were talking about. I should have bought it. Real estate's gone back. You can't do that. So you got to take a look at what I've got right now, because I'm telling you, now's the time to buy. And people are saying to me, okay, all right, show it to me. And I'm selling more real estate to investors than I've ever sold before. I said, all right, that makes sense. What's the second one? I said, the second one is first-time home buyers. I'm going to first-time home buyers and I'm saying, psst, real estate is on sale right now. You could not have bought a house a year ago, but today you can buy a house at lower interest rate. You can get in because the prices are right. You can get in. You couldn't have got in a year ago. I'm selling more first-time home buyers than I have ever sold before. And so he said, real estate investors and first-time home buyers, I'm cleaning up. And then he told me, he said, look around the room. He said, you see that real estate agent over there? And then there's one over there. There's someone there, someone there. He said, have you talked to them? I said, yeah. He said, they're all crying the blues about how bad business is, aren't they? I said, yeah, they are. He said, man, that's fantastic. Because a year from now, I'm going to have half the competition I have now. Because half of them are going to get out of the real estate business because they're so obsessed with what's not working. They're not looking at what is working. And that's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm having my best year ever. I was so impressed with that. I was a young man. It's my first recession. I got this incredible advice. I went out and I actually made thousands of buttons that said, I refuse to participate in a recession. And I talk to members about why and how to find the things that work for them during this time period so that you can be successful while everyone around you is screaming about how bad things are. You're doing business. And by the way, we have this graphic art. It's available on the BNI branding site, or if it's not available yet, it will be available very soon on the BNI branding site, where you can put this up on your website. Do it as a graphic on your website, or make buttons. We plan on making buttons as well. Make buttons around the world. I think everyone should be walking around with a BNI button that says, I refuse to participate in the recession. And look, I've got a little experience with this. Let's take a look at BNI's membership growth from 1985 to 2019. I'm going to show you the last 3 recessions that we've experienced during my tenure in BNI. The first was in 1990. And now, the graph, it's hard to see just what the growth was with the unbelievable growth we've had in the last 15, 20 years. But in 1990, from 1990 to 1991, this graph doesn't show up, but I just looked at the numbers. We grew by over 30%. So although it doesn't look like it on this graph, we grew by over 30% from 1990 to 1991. Here's the second recession that BNI held. Ooh, we went through this recession. See what it did to our membership? Didn't do anything. We grew during the second recession of BNI. Well, let's take a look at the Great Recession of 2008. What happened? Oh, we grew during 2008 and afterwards. During the Great Recession, what we've learned is that when business is good, members, people, visitors want to join BNI because there's a lot of competition. When business is tough, when we're in the middle of a recession, people want to join BNI because there's a recession and it helps them through that recession. And I hopefully we'll be able to talk about that during Q&A, because I've got some amazing experiences about members that have dealt with recessions in the past. And here we are in 2020, our 4th recession. And I'm here to tell you that people need their network more than ever. And that we will grow again in 2020 because we know how to do recessions. We know how to help members. We know how to work with members in understanding that you have to have the right mindset. And that begins with refusing to participate in the recession. I don't know what our future holds, but I do know that we can influence it. I know that because I have seen it over and over and over again in the last 35 years. You can weather this storm. I promise you, you can absolutely weather this storm. You can be empowered by utilizing that network of contacts that you have to help weather this storm. This will pass. And when it does, you will be better positioned than any other people in your industry because you have activated your network and are still using it while others are paralyzed in fear. Have a plan. Work that plan. Don't let fear paralyze you. Let it focus you. If all the people in an organization row in the same direction, that organization can dominate any industry in any market against any competition at any time. BNI has dominated our industry because we've been very focused on having the right mindset during difficult times and helping business people. You heard it, Graham mentioned that since March, middle of March, we have generated for our members over $3.7 billion worth of business. I've been talking to the media over the last few weeks. They are blown away that anyone is doing business. Our organization has passed almost $4 billion in the last few months during the middle of the great pause. I am so proud of this organization. I am so humbled by what we have done, and I am incredibly proud of the members who have been active. If you are not a member, you have got to visit a chapter of BNI right now. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but BNI is a great way to generate business, especially during recessionary economies. If you wait until tough times are over, your business will be over. Don't wait. Today, more than ever, you need your network. It can help you get through this and out the other side. That's what a network is for. It's about helping and supporting one another. I really believe in hope. And I think hope is part of the process of having the right mindset to be successful in any economy. Hope is more powerful than fear. Hope is that little voice inside you whispering to you about what can be when everyone around you is screaming what can't be. Hope plus action, hope plus a plan plus action will lead you to successfully getting through these difficult times. Hope plus a plan plus action that will get you through these difficult times that we're in. Today more than ever, people need their network. Today more than ever, people need BNI. More than ever, I truly believe that if we all agree to refuse to participate in a recession and to use our personal networks to help do that, we will get through this very, very successfully. And honestly, it is more easier. It's easier than ever. It's more simple than ever to invite people to BNI. If you're a BNI member, invite people. You know, it's interesting. I'm having people reach out to me and they're saying, well, I don't know how to do it online because all of our chapters at this point are still meeting online. Eventually, we'll be going back to meeting in person, but they're still meeting online. And people are saying, well, I don't know how to do it. Just invite people. I'm here to tell you, it's easier than ever to do it online. I mean, think about it. If you have to go to an in-person meeting, you got to roll out of bed, you got to get a shower, you got to clean up. Ladies, you got to put makeup on, you got to drive to the meeting. With online, you roll out of bed, comb your hair. Ladies, maybe put some makeup on, sit down. You can do a BNI meeting in just minutes. And hey, you can be wearing shorts. Nobody will ever know. It's so easy to come to a BNI meeting now. It's easier than ever to invite people. And if you're a member, inviting visitors to BNI truly is easier than it's ever been before. And so join me in refusing to participate in the recession. BNI is developing something that I'm really excited about. We've got something coming up that I'm really, truly excited about. We're working on an initiative to help businesses around the world to get back on the path of growth. And it's called Restart the World. In the coming months, I'm going to reach out to other business leaders, people that you will recognize, you'll recognize their names, to partner with BNI to help restart the world and to refuse to participate in the recession. So be looking for that as we go along. I hope you found this information of value. Let me turn it back over to Graham, and I think there's a couple of questions that we're going to answer. Graham, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Meisner. Excellent content for organizations big and small around the world. So timely and relevant and inspirational. Thank you. And so I have a question for you. And, you know, you have been in touch with many, many businesses across many different industries. And so what is an example or two of a particular business that has made an interesting pivot during these times and done it successfully?
Well, there are many, many examples I've heard of. There's two that just jump out at me. One was really amazing. It was a BNI member in the United States that was a furniture reupholstery company. They reupholstered furniture. And look, that's not exactly an essential business. And when the COVID virus hit and everyone was, had to deal with the great pause, they had to let go of most of their people. But one of the things they did was they did meetings, they did one-to-ones with their fellow members, and they brainstormed about what they could do during this time. And they came up with this idea of the furniture reupholstery company has a lot of cloth. And someone suggested, why don't you do COVID masks? And so the furniture reupholstery company went into the COVID mask production business. Now, all of a sudden, they're an essential business. They could hire back or bring back their employees. They started producing masks. I know they gave masks to all of the BNI members in the chapter and said, hey, would you give this to nurses, to hospitals, to people that you know in the medical profession? And it was so incredibly popular. They have sold a boatload of COVID masks as a furniture reupholstery company pivoting to manufacture masks during this difficult time. This is, to me, this is the quintessential example of focusing on solutions and not being obsessed with problems. That's one. The second one I heard, I think, is incredible. It was in Australia. It was a brewery. A brewery, they brewed beer, and obviously they had a tasting room and a bar, and people came, and obviously they couldn't have people there. So what are they going to do? This person decided, well, we've got a lot of alcohol. Let's see what it takes to make hand sanitizer. And they went from being a brewery to a hand sanitizer manufacturing business during COVID. And they went from having to lay off all their employees to bringing them back and being able to employ people and sell product and keep their business open during the middle of the COVID virus. To me, these are perfect examples of people who look for opportunities rather than get frozen in fear. They're focused by that fear. Those are two great examples.
Yeah, those are great examples, and obviously pivoting in ways that are really helping their communities, and so full of great purpose, and so great examples. And so maybe just one more question, you know, what would be your advice for chapter leadership teams as they're supporting their chapters and making sure that they're highly engaged and highly productive in the weeks and months ahead?
I think the thing to do in a BNI group right now is to really focus on the core values. The core values are what creates culture. Core values create the culture of an organization, and the culture is the DNA of that organization. And so I would urge chapters to really spend time talking about the core values. Maybe have the education coordinator each week ask for one member to stand up and talk about what core value resonates with them and why. And Graham, I've seen you do this at staff meetings for the last 5 years, and it's very effective. I've also seen it done at chapters where the education coordinator, usually in advance, you don't have to surprise people, let them know, pick a core value and talk about it. And then that person will talk about the value that's really important to them. And of course, today more than ever, giver's gain is critical. That core value, that principal core value is absolutely, I think, the most important core value of the organization. And I've seen it applied during incredibly difficult times. I don't know if I told you this story, but I remember during the Northridge earthquake, I went to a BNI meeting and no one knew. It was 3 days after the earthquake. Nobody knew that the restaurant had been condemned. And we all showed up in the morning. We're all there just before 7 o'clock in the morning. And we couldn't get into the restaurant because it had been condemned. And this entire chapter, so over 30 people, all stood in a big circle in the parking lot and held their BNI meeting in the parking lot. And it wasn't, it was kind of a normal meeting, but instead of doing presentations about what you do, people talked about what do they need? How are you? How are you doing? Is everything okay? Is there anything you need? I was so amazed. I was so proud to be part of this organization when I saw this chapter do that. And that's the kind of thing that we can do right now, is we can be there to support each other. We can be there to help one another in ways that go beyond referrals. I mean, the 3.7 billion, that's pretty darn good. And we can help each other in ways that it's hard to measure. I think the concept of giver's gain is more than a phrase. It's a way of living one's life. It's a perspective to view and interact with the world. It's an attitude, not an expectation. And when it's applied properly, it'll change your life. And when it changes enough lives, it'll change the world. And that's what I think we need to focus on right now in chapter meetings. And that's the advice I'd give to a chapter president. Thanks, Graham.
Wow. Yeah, very powerful words, and couldn't agree more. The core values that members and BNI leaders worldwide have been demonstrating over the last 4 or 5 months have really enabled the progress that we've talked about today. So congratulations to all BNI members and leaders across BNI's 70 countries. And I also want to just say a special thanks to BNI guests who have joined from around the world. And again, thank you to Dr. Meisner for sharing this terrific content, really applicable, timely, relevant, and powerful for organizations of all shapes and sizes around the world. So thank you, Dr. Meisner, and thank you to all the BNI members and leaders who are making possible the things that we've talked about today. To everybody, I wish you continued success. We look forward to celebrating with you in the weeks and months to come. Keep up the terrific work, and thank you.